Hey friends, welcome back to the channel. In this video, if you are just starting to experiment with Fluid Engine, this is going to be so valuable for you. We're going to talk about the mobile experience, a few things you need to consider when you're designing a site on Squarespace with Fluid Engine, and what you need to consider for mobile. All right, so here we are on my demo website, and as you can see here, I'm basically using Fluid Engine for a lot of these sections. I'm breaking down Fluid Engine for a lot of these sections. Some of it's just random content that's laying out, but a lot of this is using Fluid Engine. Now, what's important, first and foremost, to consider when you're doing this is anytime you design a section. So if I go in here and I add in, let's just say this text box wasn't here, this like small text box wasn't here, and I just wanted to add in that text box. Well, I need to make sure that when I add it in, let me get rid of it. If it will delete, there we go. Remove, we're good to go. When I hit add block and then I hit text, well, as of right now, perfect. It's set up as 2 lines. I'll make it 1 and then I'll click on it and then just move it down. Perfect right there. We're good to go. Looks great, wonderful, fabulous. 2 things you need to know. Anytime you do something like this, the first thing is you need to update mobile. You're gonna have to update mobile. As you can see here, there's this is number 2, there's this little blue dot. That blue dot means that you've added something to your page, to your site, that you have not formatted yet for mobile. So now when I go to mobile, where's my text? Well, this is the exact problem. It lives all the way down here. All right, so there's some weird things happening right now. I don't know why there's so much extra space there, but there are a few issues. So I think I know why there's a lot of extra space. So first and foremost, I need to drag this box all the way up to the top. Again, there's a lot of dead space here. It's basically like 100 blocks, which I don't know why. So I got to drag it up to the top here. I need to fix the spacing, but I'll get to that in a minute. I'll scroll back down and then I'll grab this, drag this up as far as I can to here. Perfect. Just so I can have a better sense of adjusting this. And then I'm going to drag this up as well, so we can get rid of all this extra space. Cool. Perfect. So these are the things you got to consider with Fluid Engine. You got to design everything twice, basically, which I think they're going to fix or make easier, if that's a better way to say it. So as of right now, it's a little bit complicated, but overall, I think they're going to make it better over time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this box here and then move it down 1, click on this, move it down 1. You basically like click twice. Oops, that is not what I wanted to do. Go away, go back to mobile. Here we go, click here. Move it down, and then I do want to make it smaller if I can. Okay, it looks like I can't, so I am going to move that. Actually, I'm just going to leave that right there. So I would probably test this on mobile to get this spacing issue right, because there is just a little bit extra space that I don't necessarily need or want. All right, and then the book a consultation page button, actually I want that up here, and then I want this image down here. I could have it filled to the edges, but in this case, I'm just going to have it go here, and then I'm going to pull it down a bit so it feels like that overall, and then we'll go from there. Cool. So now this is designed out. Again, I would check the mobile because I don't like this overlapping like this, especially text, because that could get a little funny, but I would double check what this actually looks like on mobile and make that work and go from there. So that is the first 2 things you need to consider with Fluid Engine and mobile. Number 1, if you add something to your desktop, even though it might be up here at the top, you want to make sure you go to the mobile experience to adjust it. Number 2, always look for that blue dot. If that blue dot is there, that means there's something you've added to the page, adjusted on the page, that you probably need to go check on the mobile and adjust as well. Now, number 3, this is probably the most confusing part about all of this, but some stuff that you change on mobile is just for mobile, and some stuff that you change on mobile actually changes desktop and mobile. So we need to kind of figure out what those are, especially if you're new. Oh, this is going to be a lot, but I'm going to try to keep it as simple as possible. So number 1, if I go to the mobile experience and I make this text box, let's say there was a button here. This is a form, but let's say a button, and I just adjust the size of it. Let's just say that. Now let's look at desktop. It's exactly the same. Nothing has changed here. Now, if I go back to mobile and I change the image size, I say, no, actually, I want this image to be I just want it to be really, really long. I just want it to fill up all this space right here. Perfect, cool. And this button, now let's change it back to fill the space. Usually the button does fill the space, but because it's a form, it looks like it's not, but that's okay. So we'll leave that right there for that. So let's just say I adjusted this image like that. Cool, I go back to desktop, no problem at all. But there's a few things that if I change will affect desktop. So if I change the actual text, that will affect desktop. So if I make this bold, that'll affect it. If I change the text, that'll affect it. If I center this, let's try that. Center, boom. If I go to the desktop view, you're going to see it's now center. So actual formatting of the content is going to adjust the experience for both. Also, if you edit the section, any of the changes here affects both of them. The only thing it doesn't affect is the actual number of rows. Let me explain. So right now, if I hit edit section, you'll see it says I have 19 rows. When I go to mobile and then I click edit section, you're going to see it says it has 32. So if I make this, let's just see. Let's just try this and do medium. Let's do large and let's move the content to the top. Cool. And let's go to desktop and then take a look here and see what happens. Large, what's happening? That looks very similar to what I had before. So let me change that one more time. Let's go back here. Go edit section. I'm going to make this small and do that. I just want to see what happens. Go back to desktop. Cool. So I'm doing this so you can figure it out. The only thing that you could change that's different for both is the rows, like I originally said. Everything else that changes affects both of them and affects the experience overall. Okay, so let me show you. What I just did wasn't actually revealing the changes as I did them. So before, we didn't have any space up here and any space down here. So if I go here, edit section, and then I go fill screen, like get rid of that, yeah, that's how I get this nice feel that touches edge to edge. So when I go to mobile, if I hit edit section, you'll see fill screen here. If I click on this, it will adjust, and it should adjust on desktop as well. As you can see here, it did. For the first time, it didn't. So overall, last tip here, or last big note here, you change row count on desktop and mobile, they could be separate, but everything else here, section-wise, background, colors, all of that affects both. Now, number 4, the main thing to think about with Fluid Engine is the spacing and structure of sections has changed a bit. And because of that, it's actually really important to know this, is that you can structure and build things differently than you used to. Now, I went through a huge struggle the other day because I was trying to build a section that I'm going to show you right now. Let me try to recreate it as simple as possible and go from there. I'm just going to add a blank section and then recreate it and show you. So first thing, I need an image. Second thing, I need text. Perfect. So I was just creating a simple section like this where there was an image on one side and text on the other. And basically there were 12 of these. So let's just say that, boom, copy that, drop it below and go from there. So a little bit more spacing, something like that. And then just go from there. I was doing alternating and all of that, but for now, let me just copy all that, grab it, duplicate, and then move it down. Now, there's one limitation or setup thing right now that is important to know. There's a limit of 100 rows for a page. And so you could go above that, but it starts to make the page really, really complicated. So if you want to create a section like this, I learned this the hard way. The best way to do it is actually to, let me actually select all this. I'm going to duplicate this all and show you what more than 100 looks like. The best way to actually create a section like this is to do separate sections. So not to do all of them in one section like I'm doing right now. I'm doing all of them in one section. It's just a lot to fill up the space. So let's go down. Cool. Perfect. We're good there. Let's see if have we filled the page. Not yet. I'm going to duplicate it again and then scroll down. As you can see here, that's the 100. And if I keep going, it'll keep going, which is nice. But now we've gone above 100. The reason this becomes a problem is because when you start to format mobile, this gets a little chaotic. You can see here, for the most part, this worked out really well. But once you start adding in text and the formatting grows and it needs more space, sometimes this gets a little weird. But right now it's working actually, which is nice. It's moving the section down, which is nice. But if you need to adjust the image size or go through that and then move everything up, it's a lot of work. And then the biggest challenge here is, okay, so let's take a look at edit section. It says 100 right now. Let's say I just want to move this up by 1. It's not going to let me. Oh, it is letting me. Oh, maybe because it's not filling up the 100. Okay, I need to show you this. I just need to show you this. Okay, so that did let me, but let me go beyond 100. So currently the page is beyond 100. If I click to change this just a little bit, do you see what just happened? It literally created, it doesn't let me just barely move it. It trips out. So if it goes beyond 100, it gets a little bit funny and it gets a little bit weird to work with. It gets a little bit complicated, makes your whole process just really odd and weird. So I highly recommend just considering that when you're creating sections. If you need something that's more than 100, most likely you're just going to want to create each individual item as its own section versus trying to stuff it in all to one section, which in some cases is ideal, but in this case, that works as well. I feel like I have one more tip to talk about with this when we're designing. Oh, and my main tip here, if you are creating a section like this, that you're going to repeat a lot of items and you need to scale it out, what I recommend doing is create the first section like I did here, create the first one, add in the content to test it, get it the right feel, all of that, get it exactly as you want it. Then from there, design the mobile for that first section as well. Get that all dialed, make sure the spacing, everything is exactly as you want it. Then go back to desktop, delete the content, delete the items in it. So if you have text in here, you would just get rid of that. And then if you have an image in here, just get rid of it. And then from there, you start to duplicate the section. So you get it all dialed the first time, and then it'll make your duplication process really, really, really easy, and you could scale it very fast. It takes the most time on the first one, but once you get that first one done, you could do the rest with ease. And I think that's all for now. I do have more tips on mobile and designing with Fluid Engine in our Fluid Engine starter kit, so definitely check that out below. It's only a few bucks and it'll get you up and running on Fluid Engine. Know all the shortcuts. I've used a lot of shortcuts in this video, but to know all the shortcuts on Fluid Engine, and every time Squarespace releases a new update, I get a mention right away, and then I'll create content on that so you know all the best updates, and you'll get constant updates for whatever's happening in the platform directly in your Notion account. We use Notion for our starter kit. You get access to the page, and it's just there in your ecosystem. While you're working, you'll always have it there. And I don't know, the people who bought it so far absolutely love it, and it was a great tool that we've designed for you. Friends, if you got value from today's video, hit that like button. When you hit the like button, it tells me that you got value from today's content. It tells the YouTube algorithm some fancy, important, critical information, but it tells me you got value from today's content. Next, if you want more resources for your site on Squarespace, anything from SEO to blogging, check out the links below. We have so many resources on our website, and we're publishing new resources each and every month. So we have plugins, we have downloadables, we have free downloadables, we have blog posts, we have a ton of content, we have a ton of services, a ton of great things for you. Finally, if you want more content just like this, consider subscribing. We publish 3 new videos a week. My mind is blown that we're publishing 3 videos a week. It is a lot of content, but we're doing it for you. So 3 videos a week. If you want more, consider subscribing, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.